Good morning to all. Miss Shifana Beegum, student of Physical Science Department. Here I am presenting a topic about what is pedagogy, andragogy, and heutagogy, and its relevance in the present years. Then these three terms are related with the process of education, that is the process of teaching learning process. What is education? Looking to Adams, who was an old philosopher in the oldest century, he defined education as it's a conscious and deliberate process in which one personality acts upon another in order to modify the development of the other by the communication, manipulation, and knowledge. That is, it is clear from the above definition that the process of modifying the behavior of a student can be conscious and a deliberate effort by the teacher through communication and knowledge. Thus, we can say that modification of behavior could be done through interactions in the teaching learning process. And the main aim of the education is to help the child to respond to his environment in an effective way. That is, the education starts from the childhood, which is related with the term pedagogy. It's a Greek word in which the pedi means the child and agogy means the teaching or learning. That is, agogy means the art or science of teaching or learning. And it is children's learning in simple saying. And the main features of pedagogy are, first of all, the dependence. The learner's dependence on the teacher is how much? Talking about the dependence, the learner is a dependent personality on the teacher. The teacher determines what, how, and when anything is learned. That is, the teacher totally gets the learner. That is the child in pedagogical approach. Then about the resources. How much of the resources are available for the learner, that is the child. There are few resources. The teacher devises transmission techniques to store knowledge in the learner's head. Then the reasons why the child learn. The child or the learner learn in order to advance to the next stage. That is, the child wants to progress. Okay. Then the focus. Learning in pedagogical approach is totally subject-centered, focused on the prescribed curriculum and planned sequences according to the logic of the subject matter. That is, there is a planned curriculum is there. And then the motivation, that is why the student learn. The motivation comes from the external sources, usually parents, teachers, and a sense of competition. The parents, teachers motivates the child to learn, and the teacher designs the learning process, imposes material. Okay. Then the examples for pedagogical approaches are, first one is the online teaching or learning. This online learning is very familiar with us in these past years. That is, in these chronic pandemic periods, online teaching or learning process always happen in schools, colleges, in any educational systems. And another example is cooperative learning, collaborative learning, problem-based learning, project-based learning, peer learning, inquiry-based learning, and team-based learning are examples of pedagogical approaches. Okay. Then talking about the andragogy, that is progression from child to adult. Andragogy is also a Greek word in which the andra means the man, and agogy again means the art or science of teaching or learning. That is the adult learning. And this concept was put forwarded by Malcolm Knowles in 1973. According to the andragogical approach, it is a self-directed learning. That is, the adult or the man has a clear-cut idea about what to learn, how to learn, when to learn. So it is a self-directed learning. And there are 5 assumptions for this approach. First one is adult learners are autonomous, independent, and self-reliant. The learners are independent. Okay. Then second one, an adult accumulates a growing reservoir of experiences, which is a rich resource for learning. Then third one is about adult learners are self-directed towards goals. Then fourth one is adult learners are more problem-centered than subject-centered. That is the need of the learning. It is problem-centered. Then fifth one is adults are motivated to learn by internal factors rather than external ones. The main features of this learning, that is andragogical approach, first of all, the dependence. The adults are independent. They strive for autonomy and self-direction in learning. And the resources available are the adults use their own and others' experiences in this andragogical approach. And why they learn? The reason behind is that adults learn when they experience a need to know or to perform more effectively. And the main focus is it is a task or problem-centered. When they face a problem, they have to learn. Then the motivation, I have already said that it comes from the internal sources. What are the internal sources? The increased self-esteem, confidence, and recognition that comes from successful performance. There is no motivation from teacher, parents that were in the pedagogical approach. The motivation in andragogical approach is completely internal. And the teacher acts as an enabler or a facilitator in this approach. Then the Heutagogy. The Heutagogy, it's also a Greek word in which the heuto means self and agogy again means the teaching or learning. And the concept was coined by Stuart Hayes and Chris Kenyon, and it is also known as self-determined learning. And the main principles are the heutagogical approach involved the learner in designing their own learning content and a process as a partner. And this approach makes the curriculum flexible so that new questions and understanding can be explored as new neuronal pathways are developed. Then this approach recognizes that learning is non-linear. It is not linear. And the it individualizes the learning as much as possible. The heutagogical approach provides flexible or negotiated assessment. And this also enables the learner to contextualize concepts, knowledge, and new understandings. And the learner can use experiential learning techniques. And it facilitates reflection and double loop and triple loop learning, that is metacognition. Okay, it provides lots of resources and let the learner explore. There is no limit for resources. And it develops research skills, including how to be discerning about ideas and content. It differentiates between knowledge and skill acquisition, competencies, and deep learning. It recognizes the importance of informal learning and that we only need to enable it rather than control it. And in heutagogical approach, the learner have confidence, and it recognizes that teaching and teacher can become a block to learning. Then talking about what is the link between these three. That is, the heutagogy is an extension of andragogy and pedagogy. By Canning in 2010, heutagogical approach can be viewed as a progression from pedagogy to andragogy to heutagogy. And looking to the diagram, which is a pyramid, and the base consists of level 1, that is the pedagogical approach. Then the Next above is Andragagy, that is the cultivation. First one is the engagement, and second one is we cultivate the students or the adults. Then the third one is the realization, that is the result. Then first one is the pedagogy, the next above Andragagy, and level 3 is the Heutagogy. And coming to the base to the top, we can see that in pedagogical approach, that is the children learning, less learner maturity and less autonomy required, so that more instructor control and more course structuring required. And up to the top, the more learner in the level 3, more learner maturity and more autonomy required, so that less instructor control and less course structuring required. Or we can say that more mature students require less teacher control and course structure and can be more self-directed in their learning, while less mature students require more teacher guidance and course scaffolding. With its base in the Andragagy, Heutagogy further extends the andragogical approach and can be understood as a continuum of Andragagy. In Andragagy curriculum, questions, discussions, and assessment are designed by the teacher according to the student needs. Whereas in Heutagogy, the student sets the learning course, designing and developing the map of learning from curriculum to evaluation. Heutagogy emphasizes development of capabilities in addition to competencies. Okay. And then today's higher education with its specific characteristics align itself with Heutagogy in creating learning environments for supporting and teaching learning environments. Today's education is more Heutagogical approach, that is self-determined learning. That is a research example for Heutagogical approach is research. Then technologies such as social media, learning management systems, machine learning, and e-learning are playing an important role in the practice of Heutagogy. These technologies support a Heutagogical approach by allowing learners to direct and determine their learning path and by enabling them to take an active rather than passive role in their individual learning experiences. So, Heutagogical approach has an important relevant role in these present situations. Thanking you.